Nope, that's it.
Right. That's kind of funny.
That's where we're gonna start our memorial garden.
Somebody fill my cup or this. Thank you. You're welcome. Good man. By the way, I did buy a new thing of coffee, but I pondered. Look, I bought the medium roast.
Yeah, that would be a good. And I might start drinking.
This is nice looking for sure. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 a.m., August 28th. Welcome to the weekly Cottington County Board of Commissioners weekly meeting. We will begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Charlie, you want to lead us this morning? Thank you, Charlie. A couple of housekeeping chores. If you have a cell phone, which I'm sure you do, please silence it or turn it off. And if you do get a call that you need to take, please go out into the rotunda and answer it so you don't disrupt the meeting. This meeting is being streamed live, so if you wish to address the commission, you will be on the computer streaming.
I'll make them.
The other thing I need to mention, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the commission during the open that is not on the agenda? If it's not on the agenda but you wish to speak to us, I give you that opportunity simply so we can allow time for you to do that. Seeing none, then
I'll make a
entertain
motion to approve the agenda.
approve the agenda
second
as
the motion.
printed. I have a motion by Hatton, a second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? Any additions? Any corrections? Mr. Satterley has requested an exec session. It's on the agenda, but just so you can plan accordingly. Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's go on then to the minutes of the
Move to
August
approve as
21st
emailed.
meeting. We
I'll
have a
second that.
motion by Hatton, a second by Gable. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we have number 4, opening of fire alarm bids and action to award. Do we have any bids? Do we have them?
2, Mr. Chairman.
You gonna open them, Lee?
Or maybe Charlie could open it. I'll put it up. We have a bid tab I can put on the screen so people can see. Do you mind doing that, Charlie?
Okay.
Yeah, Milo's going to come up with
The first one is from Engelstead Electric.
Now this, just for clarification, this is not for the installation, this is just for the fire alarm system? Or does this include
Well,
installation?
here's the way that, just to, if you allow me, Mr. Chairman, I'll refresh folks' memory. So we basically set up the bid, the notice to bidders so that they could bid on the whole thing. So this is basically to put fire alarms into the courthouse. So we got sprinklers going in, so we want fire alarms as well, based on what the fire marshal told us that we need to do for this building. And if bidders want to, they can bid on the whole thing, both components, so the actual fire alarms themselves and all the stuff that goes with it, and the installation in one bid, or they can do that separately. Just bid on the
So how are we
installation.
going to tell?
Well, it says in there, there's a bid submission form,
Okay.
so it should say in there what they should do. So if you look at this, Charlie, so it should give you the amount and then close, okay, so he's doing both, so, okay.
Engelstad Electric, $77,600, and that's for the fire alarm components.
So
system
77.
components, and the fire alarm system installation.
So both, okay, so that's,
That's a base bid.
yeah, so 77,600, is that what you said?
And I'm looking in here for a bid bond.
77,600.
Yeah, there's bid surety there, so I think we're
Yep,
okay.
yep.
Yeah, so, okay.
And that is included.
Okay, thank you.
The second one is from Muth Electric. And they do have a bid bond also. And their fire alarm, the bid was for the installation and the components was $80,818.00.
So,
And those are the only two we have.
okay, so for both components and installation, okay. So did I get that right, 80,000? Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that this is kind of a complicated thing. We had a chance to talk to Chip Primus before, who's the fire marshal from Watertown Fire Department, and he suggested that he be given time to qualify the bid. So the state law says we need to accept the lowest qualified bid, and so because of the kind of the complexity of the issue and the sprinkler system going into the building, I would suggest we postpone this at least a week or two, and because we have the bids should be good for 30 days. Yeah, so the bid is valid for 30 days, so we have time
Okay,
to do that.
that being said, let's put it on the agenda for, is next week's
Two-
too
two-
soon?
Milo
Chairman,
has a
Milo's
question.
got
Yeah.
back there.
Milo?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Could I request that we put that on the agenda for 2 weeks from today?
You sure may, but we are.
We're not here. We're gonna be gone.
Not here for 2 weeks?
It's 1
It'll
week
either
too
be
soon?
one or 3 weeks.
With probably one. yeah,
Okay,
we'll
is that enough time for you guys? Okay, so let's just
make it work on
postpone it
the
to next week.
Week from today, it will be on the agenda for action.
So we
And the
just-
numbers again are 77,600 or 80,818, is
Yep.
that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and people can see it on the screen if you want to.
All right. Any
Right.
other questions? Anything
ahead.
else?
Was that a motion or a
Yeah,
suggestion?
yeah, it's a motion, I'll make a motion
I'll
to postpone it
second
1
that
week.
motion.
We have a
Postpone it.
motion by Gable to postpone the action.
The award.
And a second, the award, and a second by Hatton. Any more questions? Any more
Milo, is that going to give you enough time? You seemed like maybe it was not enough time for you.
Well, we'll make it enough time.
Okay,
If it's not, we can always postpone it again,
okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Milo.
if we need it.
And thanks to Chip, because Chip's been working with us a lot on this.
Enough from you after the meeting?
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here. That's right.
yep.
I think you could have it right now.
You could take it now, yeah. I don't need it, as long as I've got my
Should make
numbers
some-
and it's, just
yeah,
don't
just-
lose it, just don't lose it.
All right.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's go on then to number 5, and this is Rick. Open bids for the Highway Department truck and action to award, the possibility. And we have one bid, I understand.
It's from Watertown Ford. We need to.
Microphone.
I'm sorry.
The bid is from Watertown Ford.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
You gotta talk right into that thing, Rick.
Okay.
Almost stick it down your throat.
Well, you don't have to quite do that.
Don't.
Okay, there are one bid is for a F-350, and that only has a 60-inch from back of the cab to the axle, and that is $45,075. And then the second one is Ford F-450.
450?
Yep. And that has an 84-inch from the back of the cab to the axle, and that's $49,200. To get the box that we needed, we had to go, the 350 wasn't big enough. They don't have the length between the cab and the rear axle. So that's why they had to go to the next size up.
But these are, Mr. Chairman, so these are both from
Yep.
Watertown Ford?
Yep, both from Watertown Ford.
That, Rick, this is for the basic truck, right?
Yep, this is just a cab and a chassis.
An extended cab we
Yep,
talked
an
about.
extended cab.
What's this truck going to be used for?
Our sign truck.
Sign truck, okay.
The truck we have currently has 400,000 miles on it.
Make a
Just
motion
get broken.
to go with F-450, so you get your 84-inch capability that
Yep.
you need for
We have a motion by
purpose.
hand
I'll
to go
second.
with
Second.
the 49,200 bid for the F-450. Is there a second? Second by Waterman. Any discussion?
This was a budgeted item.
Yes, this was a budgeted item.
All right.
All right, any other discussion? Anything else? What did you have budgeted? Do you remember what you had budgeted?
Cindy maybe has it.
It was 68 something.
Also, we're in the ballpark anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Below.
We still have to do a box.
With the
Yeah.
box, yeah.
We gotta do the box. All right, any more discussion? Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Let's see, we're
Thanks,
gonna
Rick.
need you here later on, but we'll give you a break now. We'll go into some monthly reports. Jim, emergency management. I see you was out in the pump shed for the emergency, or for the backup.
Yep,
Working on that today, huh?
we're doing some work on that today and tomorrow. Just have a few things today. Again, just to let you know what I've been doing. On August 7th, I took part in a tabletop exercise up at Edgewood Assisted Living, and they used a disaster scenario. It was a very, very well organized, very good tabletop exercise, and I compliment them on doing that to prepare for the day when they do have a disaster. On August 17th, the search and rescue team assisted the Watertown Police Department with a pickup in the water on Lake Pelican. The driver had driven a pickup out into the lake, so the search and rescue team went out there and were able to hook on.
You don't need to
pickup.
explain it.
Yeah.
You drove the pickup out the
Yeah.
lake.
Yeah, so.
You didn't see the U-turn or what? Was it-
No, I just drove straight out into the lake. So, next thing I've got is our local emergency operations plan. We review that on a yearly basis. The local emergency operations plan has been reviewed, and no changes were needed to be made at this time. On August 29th, tomorrow, I'm supposed to be attending the South Dakota Chemical and Oil Industry Safety and Compliance Workshop up in Aberdeen. And that's, I'm still kind of up in the air on that. As you saw, we're working on the fuel supply for the generator down here. And today and tomorrow, we're hoping to be fixing the problem if we can figure out what the problem is. But we're probably going to be digging up that tank again, or sucking the P-rock out of there so that we can get access to the top of that tank. But that'll be, like I said, today and tomorrow. On September 5th, Sherry and I will be taking part in a state emergency management tabletop exercise. That's going to be held down at Hayti. So on September 5th, we will be down there in the morning. On September 10th to the 13th, we've submitted a travel request, but that is are the dates that Sherry and I will be attending the State Emergency Management Conference that is down in Sioux Falls this year. So September 10th to the 13th, we'll be out of the office here. The next LEPC meeting that we'll be having for the commissioners that do attend the LEPC, that will be on September 18th. So you might write that down, and you'll be getting an email message as a reminder before that date. We continue to work with the Department of Health on the pod flu shot exercise. We inventoried all the supplies this last week, and October 2nd is the date that we'll be doing flu shots up at the Watertown High School and Lake Area Tech, and that's on October 2nd that we'll be assisting with that. And then the last thing I've got here this morning is we've received the paperwork for the state and local agreement for that would start in October and run until September of 2019.
That happens to be number 7 on the agenda.
And
Sorry to interrupt.
no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And this is the state and local agreement. Now, there's a lot of paperwork with that. Now, the amount of money that will be allotted for Cottington County, I can't give you a figure. In here, it just says that it will be to be determined.
It's based on whatever Jim and Sherry's salaries.
Right, 50%.
50% is what we get.
Right, right. And that with this state and local agreement, they're reimbursing for 50% of my salary and 50% of Sherry's salary, so long as it doesn't go over the total amount that.
And when I'm preparing the budget for 2019, I estimate the revenue that we will get, and then whatever we get from the state is supplemented with funds from the general fund for the emergency management fund.
Okay, so I'll be asking that the the chairman be authorized to sign for the state and local agreement so that can be sent into the state.
I'll make that motion to
There a motion
approve
by
chairman
Hammond?
to sign the 2019 emergency management.
Second by Gable. Is
Yes,
there
sir.
any questions, any discussion?
You have the original, don't you, Jim?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I don't
Opposed,
have
same
an
sign.
original. I
Motion
thought Sherry was
carries.
going to send it with you.
So when it's prepared,
Okay.
I'll sign it.
Right,
Is it ready to go now?
it is,
Okay.
I believe.
All right, I'll sign it.
We'll get it after the meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Very good. Anything else, Jim?
That's all I have this morning. I'll keep you posted on the generator fuel supply problem that we've got, and I'll let you know if we get her fixed or what the problem is. So that's all I've got, unless anybody has any questions this morning.
I have a question.
Okay.
Of course, school starts again, and we got these children running all over. And again, as soon as school starts, it seems like it's been ongoing all summer. We have these shootings in these various communities and towns and whatever. We have been very active in getting cameras fixed to a lot of the local schools. Is Watertown is all of our schools covered?
Yes, we've helped with Homeland Security grant funds over
Yeah.
the years, and there's a camera system in all the schools in Cottington County.
Yeah, just so people understand that we have done that, and that it's just not Watertown, it's all of the community schools.
That's correct.
What about the courthouse?
Not so much.
Well, why aren't we getting on top of that?
Well, but we
We
can.
are. We're doing that security system coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, the security system, but we don't have a camera system. Was that part of it then?
That's something that we can apply for with the Homeland Security grant. If you would like to have a security camera system installed in the courthouse.
The reason I'm asking this, or why I brought it, someone asked me if we ever caught the people that painted the courthouse, And I said, well, not to my knowledge, we have the sheriff here. Is that true? Not to our knowledge?
Not as of, no.
No, if we would have, they said, oh, don't you have a security system or a camera system out there? And I said, I don't think so. And there you go. So there's other people that are paying attention as well.
Yeah. There are some cameras around that are monitored by, usually by the jail as well. The new Clicker Court space has some cameras in it as well. So that's,
And
so making progress.
across the street.
Just to clear that up, each floor does have cameras, the entrances have cameras.
Sure.
And there's several offices in the courthouse that do have cameras.
Yeah, but these people,
Outside.
people painting the walls don't come in here and paint. They want to paint on the outside, so. Just a thought, okay? All right. Thank you. That's all I had.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
just one,
Mr.
on
Gable.
the October 2nd, that's a full-up pod like you did last time at the Extension Center?
Correct.
Yeah. So that'd be a good thing for the press to see. When I went last year, it was very eye-opening to see all those agencies working together, city, county, school, everything, and that was, it was pretty neat to see, so.
And that will be at the Extension Center
No,
again?
that's going to be at the Watertown High School,
Okay.
So October 2nd. So.
October 2nd. And also, we'll be doing shots at Lake Area Tech that same day between the two locations.
Okay.
Anything else?
Very good.
Congratulations, Grandpa.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the
New
congratulations?
granddaughter.
Oh, granddaughter.
New granddaughter
First
a
grandchild.
week and a half
First
ago,
one.
so
How many grandchildren now?
this is the first one.
Oh, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Grandchildren are wonderful.
Yeah.
You bet.
Okay. Art?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Jim.
thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Enjoy that grandchild. A girl, boy?
Girl.
Little girl, 7 pounds, 7 ounces.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Rick, you're on the hot seat now.
Nope. We got the sheriff.
Oh, the sheriff. Ah, I'm sorry.
That'd be good.
No, we got, oh yeah, we better back up here, yeah. I heard the sheriff on the radio already this morning, so. Numbers are up and
Yeah, I was staying out there listening as long as I could.
Leo pulled up on the camera there, but we'll get started. We'll do the monthly balance sheet here. All right, for end of July 2018, this should be the first page everybody's got there. $51,728, and then we collected $5 in copy fees. Collected $8,018.50 in sheriff's fees. $42,665 in miscellaneous accounts that hadn't been dispersed yet that were collected, and $450 in warrant fees that were collected. For a grand total of $51,138.50. We jump
That's
to the,
up, isn't it?
what's that?
Isn't that up?
Yeah, that's up
Quite
a little bit.
from, okay,
Yeah, we had a couple sheriff sales where it was,
okay,
the overage came in, so.
all right.
And then if we jump to the next page there, we'll start at the top there. These got it pulled up on the page. July 2018 cases and calls. We had 612 cases and calls that the sheriff's office responded to. There was 9 accidents that we responded to. 72 warrants were served. 226 civil papers were served. And 3,847 transport miles, which are actually down a little bit from the last several months. Which is good, knock on wood. Hopefully they stay that way.
Is that including that trip that you made to, was it Iowa?
That was actually
That
in
was
June.
in June,
That was
right?
in
Yeah,
That's
that's why, yeah.
That's why our June numbers were 6,950.
Okay.
So if you see the last couple months before that, they were kind of
Yeah,
leading
they were
up.
up.
If you want to jump on down to the middle there, talk about the jail activity a little bit. For July, our average daily population was 75.65. And our high ADP was 83. Our low ADP was 71. And on the 24/7 program, we have 33 people on the Scram bracelet, 56 people on the twice daily PBTs, 60 people on the twice weekly UAs, and 4 people on the sweat patch, for a grand total of 153 people in 24/7 program.
253,
153.
153.
153.
Right on that graph up here.
All right, yep.
And then For the bookings, in July, we did 253 bookings. One thing I'd like to just show, the ADP, looking at May, June, July, and actually looking at last week and today's numbers, we're at 87 for our average daily population. Large amount of that is unsentenced inmates, people that haven't been sentenced, haven't been through the court program. So I'm really hoping that this third courtroom gets up and going and starts working, so we can start using that a little bit. So if we want to jump on down, on the bottom of the page there, we collected $19,152.30 in out-of-county contracts in July. The work release program, $6,330, $6,227 in 24/7 fees, and scram fees collected $4,420.
So that, just, Sheriff, on the, Mr. Chairman, if you excuse me, so I see the out-of-county contracts, is that just, the numbers are, that's pretty high, but is that just kind of catching up in the building cycle, or is that a reflection of?
It's catching up a little bit, and we did have in April and May, well, probably May and June, we did have a few more out-of-county contracts because our jail numbers were considerably lower.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you look, we were in the 60s at that time.
So, and that allows you to take in more out-of-county
Yeah.
inmates if you need to, okay.
So we had a few more of our contract counties that were housed here. So
Did you go beyond then the three major counties that we have?
nope, just our five that we contract with. So
What do we bill those, Brad, at a day? How much a day do we bill?
$75 right now per day.
That's out of county.
Yeah, out of county contracts. And I think Jim talked about the generator repairs. The camera project, I want to touch base on that, the one that we approved last time we were up here. That is underway. We're updating some of the cameras in the jail. We've been working on that a little bit, so that project is in play right now. So I think that's all we have crisis intervention training. I partnered with HSA here in town again, and we're, between Kerry Johnson and I, we're going to be putting on a crisis intervention training again, 40-hour class here in town, starting in October on Thursdays. I see Troy signed up to go.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Police department.
It'll be
So
fun.
we'll be working on that and getting that all finalized. So
How many of our officers are left to be trained, or are all of ours trained in
I
that?
have one new hire that I'm going to be sending from the deputies. So we have one deputy full-timer that is going to be going, attending as well, and then a handful of jail staff.
Okay.
So looking at maybe 3 to 4, and then we'll have, I'd probably say 95 to 98% of our jail staff.
Mr. Chairman, I think the CIT thing is an important thing for the public to understand, because that's one of the things. It's a very important component of keeping the jail population under control. I mean, it might not look that way with these numbers, but if it weren't for programs like the 24/7 or CIT, I mean, it expands the options for, as I understand it, for law enforcement officers to deal with a particular situation
On scene.
on scene. So you don't necessarily have to take somebody to the jail. Provide some more options through that training. So I haven't done it myself, but that's how I understand it from a layman's
It really
perspective.
does expedite the whole entire process. If somebody calls in and they're depressed or whatever, the officers are trained to evaluate that person on scene instead of having to take them into custody and having a mental health professional evaluate them. The officer is trained to evaluate them on scene, and expeditiously, it really makes things go a lot smoother. So.
It saves officer time, saves jail time,
Yep.
saves the person time.
Yep.
Just really helps with the
Right.
process. So.
Yeah. So
And
it's,
if you guys are, any of you interested in coming down to seeing what's entailed, October 11th is the first day, and then it's every Thursday for 8 to 5, thereafter for 5 consecutive Thursdays. So it'll be interesting. If you start at come maybe the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, come in the afternoons. We actually have trained role players that come in from Fargo, and they actually interact with the officers as they're going through the program. So they're really, really professional, trained. It's really interesting to watch. So if you guys got time, you guys are more than welcome to stop down, check it out.
Said
Be at
8
the
to
EOC.
8 to 5?
8 to 5, yeah.
Okay.
All right, Brad, thank you. Appreciate you
Thanks,
doing
Brad.
that. That's good
Yes.
training, and like you said, if we could get some intervention in there, it's good. Any other questions for Brad? All right, have a good day.
Thanks.
on to number 9, and
Thanks, Brad.
that's Rick. Come on, Rick.
Number 8.
Number 8, yeah.
8 and 9 are both Mr. Ricks.
Yeah, but we're on 8.
Yeah, we're on 8. 8 and 9, we'll start with 8. Discussion action to accept proposal for highway, office building, electrical, and then there's a little et cetera behind that, so. We've got some information on that in your packet, if you wanna find it and follow along. Go ahead, Rick, where you wanna start?
This started off as just replacing the furnace, and it kind of grew from there to replacing the lights, the ceiling, the air conditioner, cleaning the vents, all the duct work. So, and it's set up in 2 different phases. Phase 1 is the office and storage area, hallway, and a bathroom. And then the second phase is the break room, another bathroom, the parts room, and the furnace room. So, like I said, it grew a little bit.
Well, it was something that had to grow because of the way that
Yep.
it was installed previously, so.
Yep. And we had 3 bids for electrical. The low bid for electrical was Sharp Electric, and that was $4,610.82. And then we had 3 bids for the furnace and air conditioner. Hartwig was low on that, and they got a hold of me this morning that they can go with their original bid because where they get their furnaces was in Marshalltown, where a month ago they had a big tornado, and it took half their building out. So they're trying to move stuff around, but they were able to get a furnace for the same price that they quoted us for.
So there's no $600
Nope,
additional?
nope.
And give us that number.
$9,500.
Okay.
And then for the ceiling, we had FM Acoustical, and that was $6,493.
Okay, the walls.
We have the insulation, the blown-in insulate, or
Spray foam?
spray foam. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes, that was Peters Insulation. That's $14,467.50.
Where are they from?
They're in town.
Okay.
So that was, I'm sorry, say that total again, Rick, please.
$14,467.50.
I think
It's
that's
on
the one
the
that
bid.
got my attention.
Yeah.
Oh, I should see that one.
And then we have Rhino Services to clean the ducts. That's $500.49 or $549.
With tax 573.71.
Yeah, and I'll have to talk to him about the tax.
Oh, that part, the sales tax, yeah,
Yep.
true. Good catch.
Rick, if I can add a side note in here, we did try to, referring back to the FM Acoustical, we did try more than one time to get somebody local to put in the acoustical tile, and there was no response.
Yeah, and I also had the guys that put the tile in downstairs in the new clerk of courts. They never came back. They looked at it,
We
but they
tried
never came
very
back.
hard and failed.
Busy folks.
So,
That'll work. I'll make a motion to approve.
35.
Do you have the total amount?
20.
Well, they're separate projects, so.
Total amount is $35,620.32.
Yeah, that's number 35,620.32. And we have a motion by Gable to accept all of the parts. Is that what your motion is?
Yes.
All right.
And I'd second that.
Second by Commissioner Waterman. Any discussion?
Where does
So-
this come from?
The highway budget.
Just the budget?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you have it was it pre-budget? Was it?
Nope, this
No,
is
Do you
an
have-
emergency.
Came up this summer.
Is there,
There should be
You said that was
sufficient funds.
there is sufficient funds to cover it in the highway department, so
$35,620.32.
that's the good part of that.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, so because these are separate, these are actually separate projects, you might combine them into one project, I suppose, but it's still under the $50,000 threshold for bidding, and you still went through the competitive process of obtaining multiple quotes, as many as you could. So, just so people know.
Any more
I
discussion?
tried to get more, but
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
couldn't get them. So,
This is gonna be will they be able to get this project done before the snow flies?
hopefully next week, they will be able to take the furnace and air conditioner out and replace that next Thursday and Friday. So that'll start, and then I'll have to get a hold of the duct guy to get that cleaned out right away. Oh, sorry.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is this going to take care of the issue, all the issues over there?
This is gonna take care of the safety issue with the soot.
Yeah.
And that's where it started from. It kind of escalated like any project you might do. And then we realized that how the ducting came down to the lights. And that wasn't something, I don't know whether they come up with that idea, but bringing the ductwork right over the lights and the heating and the cooling coming out alongside of the lights.
Yeah, it's a unique setup.
And
So
then
this'll fix
when
all
they
that.
opened up the acoustical tile, there's maybe an inch of insulation up there. We previously replaced all the windows. So where do you stop? And we decided that this is something we should propose. And they're going to do a minimum of ductwork. What they're going to do is take the ductwork from the old lights and put flexible tubes down to the vents.
Yeah, there'll be new diffusers put in the ceiling, so it'll all be replaced.
And we're talking a 96% efficiency furnace.
Yep.
Well, we did just replace that roof out there. When was that? That work was done last year, so
Yep.
it's been a deteriorating building. I mean, how many years has that been there that just needs to have a facelift again, so.
And I had a conversation with Lori, and Lori said, well, it's still drafty and this and a few things, and after seeing sheets of paper around that are normally used and seeing all the black specks, and I'm like,
Yeah,
It's
it's not
not
good.
good.
We needed to fix that. Yeah.
Yeah.
1975 is when that furnace was installed.
Yes.
Probably got the good out of it.
Yep, we've got the good out of it.
4 years old.
I can assure you one thing, this one will not last that long.
No. If we get half that long, it'd be a surprise.
Yeah. We have a motion on the floor, a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more discussion? The only thing I guess that I would say is that it did, and I expected it does mushroom on us when we start a project like this. When you're working with an old building, you could just expect it's going to be that way. Let's hopefully get some more years use out of that facility, and it'll be a good investment down the road. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries, let's get her done. Rick, thank you for putting all this together, because it can be a lot of fun working with all these different.
Rick is the
contractors.
next one also, unless he doesn't need to be
It's
part
your
of
cell
that.
phone stipend for Lynn Solberg. You're changing it from
25.
25 to 40 is your request.
Yes.
Okay, let's go on then to number 9, action to approve a $40 monthly cell phone stipend for the Assistant Highway Superintendent.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
We have a
Second
motion
that.
by
Charlie?
Van Dusen, a second by Charlie. Any discussion?
It just brings him back in line with everyone else.
Yep.
Correct.
Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right,
Thanks,
then
Rick.
let's go on.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Number 10, thank you, Rick. Let's go on to the, by the way, I did hear that you need to replace a couple of trucks out there. That was come from the general public. So you got a couple of trucks that need to be replaced out there. Heard that from the general public.
Yes.
Is it in the budget for next year? We haven't approved it yet, the one that you submitted, so. All right. I'm not
See if
trying
we can get a
to
few
raise
more years
any
out of
money, but I don't like to see dead county trucks sitting along the road either.
That's true.
Not good. All right, Cindy, you're up. Let's look at action to approve commissioners' contingency transfers, and you have a page in the packet. Looks like this with all kinds of yellow marks on it. And there's some numbers in there that I guess it's just that kind of a year. And
Something out of our control, basically. We have 3 budgets that are overspent for the year 2018. The first one is the court-appointed attorney budget, which will need a supplement of $5,539.97. And the coroner budget will need $2,594.01. The Board of Mental Illness budget will need $333.71. And that is just to get them back to zero at the end of August. So this is going to be a monthly occurrence that we're going to have to take care of from here on out for these 3 budgets. There could be additional, but like I said, this is something out of our control. We have to pay for court-appointed attorneys. We have to pay for coroner, anything associated with the coroner's budget, and also the same for Board of Mental Illness.
These
Move
are,
to approve. Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just made a motion to approve.
Second by Van Duzen. Any discussion?
Now we can ask.
These are 3 lines that it's hard to budget for
They are.
because you never
They
know
are.
what
Yes.
you're going to spend.
We,
And-
we did budget $20,000 at the beginning of 2018 for the coroner budget, which is probably the highest amount we've ever budgeted. So we may have to look at that one, because I don't think
We put in
we
for this
budgeted
year.
that much for 2019.
That
We
was
may
my
have to go
question,
back
why
and look at that.
Coroner budget got so out of whack. Is it?
Just so many
Unattended deaths.
unattended deaths.
And here's what I'm thinking, that
And
our older people are staying in their homes because they can't afford to go to a nursing home, and they're dying at home in their lazy boy. And that is an unattended death, right?
That's
Correct.
correct.
So we have
Yep.
to bring the coroner in, and is that a simple explanation?
well, that, and there have been others, infant deaths, those have to be investigated also.
Do autopsies come out of that?
Actually, I did increase that to $35,000 for 2019, so
Should be
I think
good.
we should be fine. Autopsy costs come out of that,
So-
and there have been some huge ones.
Yeah.
It's just been a year, I guess.
So,
Toxicology reports, that type of thing are very, so we are budgeting $35,000 for 2019, so I think we're comfortable leaving it at that for now,
and by the way, I can't
and
think
hope
of
for a better year.
I can't think of a better way to go than sitting at my lazy boy and just doze off and not wake up. I think that'd be a good way to go. I'm sorry, that's terrible.
We're gonna quote you on
Yeah.
Well, I'll eat potato salad at your funeral, by
Eat
the way.
potato salad and steak. They won't know if I just died of a
Potato
natural
salad
death
is
or I
his
choked on a
favorite.
steak.
That's why I said that.
Does that go in the paper as headlines, Myron plans on dying?
Well, I already got from the welfare department, burial plans for Myron here a while back. So, all right, we need a motion on that.
Got a motion and a second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? A worthwhile discussion. Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, email boxes. Let's get an explanation on that, Cindy.
Well, that was me.
The DB one of you, yeah.
Yep, I kind of
Troy
brought it.
and Brenda have both.
Yes, Troy mentioned
inquired.
earlier,
Yep.
just in my executive board meetings, I'm having some issues receiving some of the emails, and on my personal one, for some reason, it's kind of strange. But anyway, from the executive board out in Pierre. And so I guess I thought it was something worth maybe looking into. A lot of the other counties do have, well, not a lot, some do, some don't, but just to make it all of us be on the Cottington.org email. This is what it would cost the initial setup. I would say at this time now, though, since I talked to the individual who did this quote for me, that if we switch servers, then there are going to have to be more license and stuff bought. There's something that's going to be happening that it will be better for us to wait till after that's done, because we would just get this up and running, and then we'd have to pay for that expense at that time. So to me, it's not worth that, so.
And that is in the budget for 2019, is
Yeah.
to upgrade our servers, so if you can hang in there for a few more months on your own.
Absolutely. There'd be no point of us doing this now and then having to go through that expense again. So it was just something to kind of throw out there, that this would be the initial setup, and then after that, it would be the licensing
You
cost
two
per
have
year.
the same email server, do you? I have absolutely no trouble. I don't have any trouble getting.
This
Yeah,
is the only one that I have trouble with, is the executive board meeting, so.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, we're all kind of using our personal email
Yeah.
basically to do this. So that, I mean, this just applies to the commissioners. The rest of the county, other county employees have a cottington.org email address, and so that, basically this would add
It's
the
kind of
commissioners to
for-
that.
yeah.
It
so-
would be nice to have
It'd be
a
uniform.
county
Yeah.
email
Uniform.
address, just so you can keep everything separate.
And then you have that separate from your personal business, transparency reasons,
Something else.
Security.
privacy
Yeah.
reasons.
Something else to remember, Charlie.
The other thing
Email
about
address.
the other thing about this is there's probably a requirement to archive some of this too. At least when I worked for the federal government, they archived all of those emails get archived. At least they're supposed to.
So,
But
Brenda-
so it's similarly.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Dunley. Not to interrupt, but, so it would cost this amount to add 5 email
Yes.
addresses?
Yeah,
How much?
the 765.
So if we were to add 5 more county employees and they needed an email address, we would have to buy additional licenses?
$755?
I don't know on that, or if they would use existing, I'm not really sure on the county employee side.
Usually when, somebody comes on, we've had somebody go
else is
off.
leaving,
So
so-
it's a wash.
Okay.
But yeah, on each mailbox, we are, we're charged per mailbox.
Yeah, so it is an expense.
And $290 of this is labor,
Yeah.
which would be one-time
How
labor.
much labor is that? They flip the script.
It's a bit more than that.
They got to do
roughly
some
$100
technical
a
stuff
box.
to get it into the system, and,
Yeah,
because now if we do, let's see, what are we switching to with the server? And said something about using the cloud?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what our plan is to go to
Yeah.
Microsoft
Yeah.
365.
Oh, they are
The
planning to
cloud.
do that. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that's when we get our new server. Well, and actually, that might take
make-
place before we get the new servers. I discussed it with Lee Swanson last week. She highly recommends we
Yeah.
get this taken
Yeah.
care of.
For
Yeah,
security
that's
reasons.
a much
Yes.
more. I think
So,
that would be more cost.
Anyway,
effective.
at this point, I guess this is the information. I think it's best just to wait till all that's in place rather than paying it twice. That would be kind of silly. We've gone this long
Okay.
without it. So just kind of FYI information that, just checked into to see what it would cost.
All right, that's, we'll just consider that information only. Let's go on to number 12, action to authorize chair to sign to accept substantial completion of the remodel work in the new court's office. And if you have not been in there, I would encourage you to stop in. It looks like they're all settled in. I don't know if they feel at home yet, but is there a motion? I'll entertain a motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I put this agenda item on there thinking that you would need to sign something. So if you allow me, I can explain. I don't think we need to take action. But essentially, so Commissioner Hanton and I were there for the walkthrough on Friday. And what that was is essentially the start date of the 1-year warranty for that space, because in fairness to the contractor, since the clerk of court is using it, that's what so the function of the walkthrough is to say, okay, this is the start of the 1-year warranty, and then also to identify all the little things, the touch-ups and et cetera, that still need to be done to make sure it's absolutely done. And so the architect was there. We walked through the clerk of court. She had some good observations that we could add to it. So now we'll have a nice list of all the things that need to be checked off. And then at that point, you can do it one of two ways. You can sign something as soon as the architect gets the report done, or he can delay a little bit and wait for some of those things to get checked off. So either way, we don't need to take action
But you
today.
do need to take action to authorize the chair to be the signer of such
Okay.
documents.
Yeah, I guess we can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I would prefer to see some of those things checked off.
Before you sign.
Just so that
That's-
he's got some kind of authority to sign off when needed.
Okay, well, okay, we can take that action, so I'd make that motion.
All
So-
right,
I'll
motion
second
by
that.
Gable, second by
second it.
Hatton. Any more discussion?
Just,
discussion?
so just, Mr. Chairman, that, I think it's going to take probably a couple weeks for the architect to put something together.
Yep.
And by that time, some of those things will be checked off. And then again, we have that 1-year warranty if something else is identified, you know. it
So I'm
could be-
gonna word the motion to give the chair authority to sign off on
The substantial completion
completion as
certificate.
needed.
Yeah, so it's,
Or on a timely basis or
Is
something
that
like
right?
that.
If you
yeah,
could-
yeah,
Okay.
when it's available, when the
Yes.
reports, the certificate is prepared.
Okay.
So,
Brenda, you second it, is that all right?
Yes, yep, that's fine.
yeah.
Everybody heard that rewording? Any more discussion? Any more? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, let's go on then to 13, presentation of memorial tree at Memorial Park from Milo and Carol Ford. Milo and Carol, please come forward and share with us your nice looking brochure that you've got with you this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Introduce yourself so that the press will know who we're talking with and who.
Good morning, Milo and Carol Ford. I've been elected to be the spokesperson
I
because
saw that.
Carol has a cough.
Oh. Self-inflicted?
She would just as soon not go into a coughing fit in the middle of this. So. Okay, as you were all aware, with the board's permission, we've been working on this for a couple months. We call this project our Memorial Trees for Memorial Park. To ensure the continued beauty and health of Memorial Park, we are offering the opportunity to purchase trees or donate funds towards the purchase of trees in the memory of loved ones. Memorial Park is a 90-plus acre park campground owned and operated by Cottington County. The park has countless mature trees that are nearing the end of their natural life. With the impending arrival of the emerald ash borer, this seemed like the time to start to establish the next generation of trees for our park. With the help of local nurseries, the park will embark on a systematic plan to replace and replant trees lost to disease, age, and storm damage. We have identified a variety of trees to keep our park flourishing as the natural beauty that it is. And I will dispense with reading the rest of that, but this is our brochure that we intend on passing around to anyone we can think of, to solicit donations of trees or monetary donation towards trees. Okay. With that said, Carol and I have purchased 3 trees for planting out at Memorial Park. The first tree that we dedicate to the park, you have back here, and this would be in honor of our daughter Sarah. We will plant that in a very conspicuous location, with some identification on it. So that is the first tree given to Memorial Park in this project.
And what kind of tree is that?
That is a harvest gold linden.
Beautiful tree.
And so these will be dispersed throughout the park, correct?
Throughout the park. We will have help identifying, where to start. We've had suggestions on what we can do, the steps to start replacing our ash trees. And in addition to this, we're hoping to establish a tree nursery, so we'll have trees to pick from years into the future.
These are going to be all taken care of by park employees?
Correct.
Or planted, transplanted, whatever they have to be done.
Watered.
The planting will be a combination of, if you would like to donate a tree and plant it yourself, we would invite you to come out to the park and, be involved in the planting. If you want park employees to plant it, we're fine with that, we'll take care of it. If you want the nursery to plant it, where you happen to purchase it, that is available to you also.
Have we decided yet how to identify these trees and the donors and who they're in remembrance of?
Not specifically. We talked about the board gave suggested having a memorial plaque, located in the office. We haven't
I seen,
designed that yet. We are working with
I seen kind of a neat design actually down in the clinic at Clear Lake, the Dual County Clinic, where it's actually like a tree and then all these little like oak leaves are where the names are and then the donations. And so those leaves make up that tree.
Sounds very interesting.
So,
Prairie Lakes, I think, has that, don't they?
I think they do. I think I've seen it up there,
yeah, I
something
think they
similar.
had it down there too. So yeah,
Similar, yeah.
something like that might be kind of a unique thing.
Yeah.
Put it in the
I'd be
office. Or
interested in seeing that.
can take pics of it. And get it to you.
Prairie Lakes Foundation has that. Go up there and take a look at that.
Yep, Clear Lake does too. But so anyway, yeah.
That'd be a good
So
idea.
if anybody in the listening audience or a reading audience would like more information on the memorial trees for Memorial Park, we'll have a brochure available through the facility manager's office and also through the auditor's office.
Mr. Chairman, did you read the list of trees? I might have missed that. Because that might, just so people know they can't go out and buy any old
Okay.
tree,
We have identified a handful of trees that will, is projected to thrive in the park atmosphere out there. Hackberry, Sierra Glen maple, linden, Redmond or harvest gold, Princeton elm, honey locust, swamp white oak, or bur oak.
Thank you.
Those were the varieties that were
Most.
suggested to me by a couple of the local nurseries.
Probably most disease-resistant sort of trees and
Yeah.
that flourish in our area.
Milo, I was out there earlier this week and we talked about the campground and the trees and I was inquiring about how many of those were the emerald ash borers. And it looks like a lot of those in the campground, those more mature trees are ash trees.
There's a lot of ash trees out there. I pulled the figure out of the year. I figure we're at 80% ash trees. I have not went out and counted, nor do I intend to, but we have a lot of ash.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it
So
at that.
the campground provides a lot of shade and a lot of those trees are going to be gone potentially in the next several years. So is that kind of the area that you want to focus on as far as the memorial trees so we can get that shade back?
The ash trees are scattered throughout the entire park, so it's,
Yeah.
it is a lot
So
of people
is this
depend-
going to help with the problem that we've got with some of the larger campers or whatever coming in that are a little bit too large for some of our spots?
No, actually, this will probably make that a little bit more painful.
Okay,
As the trees grow and spread, we need to stay on top of,
where they're placed.
where they're placed, where they're planted,
Okay,
making sure that we keep them trimmed so the canopy, is above the campers.
Yeah.
coming in.
Right. Plus, until the time that we remove the other ones, then you're going to have two kind of placed in that area. So
Last night I had an opportunity to have a good, informative conversation with the lady that oversees the weed supervisors in the state, and I said, well, what should I start thinking about replacing? Because I have a lot of them at my place as well as at the park. And she said the best thing to do is stand in the yard and look at what your neighbors have. And whatever your neighbors have, don't plant that. Plant something different. And don't start taking down your ash trees until the ash borer has actually been identified and is 15 miles within the trees where you live. People are getting excited about taking down ash trees already, and they said it's not necessary because it's possible that they may not be affected, and that could happen. Although it looks like if you listen to the news then last night, later on, they're really starting to push west, and so it's probably going to happen. But
And I think some of that was budgetary purposes. I know the city of Watertown was looking at taking out ash trees here and there, just so it's not a large expense when it comes time to have to do that.
I know I was kind of taking inventory, and I got some ash trees that I just like to get rid of anyway, so this might be an opportunity. Anyway, it's a great program, and I'm assured that our local newspaper and our radio stations will pick up on this and promote it, and thank you for kind of taking the bull by the horns, Milo
Yeah.
and Carol. Appreciate that very much.
Definitely.
By the way, the park is looking great. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Now, you want to
Can I have
make
a couple
certain that
more of
everyone
those,
gets some,
Thanks.
and I'll take. a
I've got
couple.
some up front, but if you
Oh,
want to
okay.
give them to the,
Make sure the PO and
Media.
the radio
Yep.
station gets a copy, Carol.
All right,
I
any
was
other
out-
questions for Milo and Carol before they escape?
I was out and visited not so long ago too, and it's just remarkable, the things you guys have done out there, the office, the buildings, the whole entire park looks great.
What are the big events? It's Ventiques are coming up here when?
Is that
Yeah,
this?
actually, the next 3 weeks are very busy for the park. Labor Day, of course, is one of our biggest weekends of the year. And believe it or not, the weekend after Labor Day with our Ventiques event is our biggest weekend of the year. So that's, the next 2 weeks are, standing room only.
Yeah,
The third
reservation.
week of September, we actually have 2 weddings booked.
Yeah.
One on each side of the park.
Yeah, reservations for next year started also?
Oh, yes.
Fourth of July, we were done for next year.
Oh, yeah.
September is, what is normally winding down the end of the camping season. We're
Let's
actually
wind them back
quite
up.
busy.
All right.
Hopefully the weather
We
holds.
just had 2 wedding receptions last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good. Well, thank you, and thank you for all your good work. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right, let's go on to number 14, action to approve the courthouse remodel project change orders. Do we have any?
No, Mr.
Here you
Chairman.
go, Charlie, you're out of the,
One question, one thing to take note of in this regard, I mentioned a few weeks ago, a fan coil unit that we might need to add to one of the 2 attorney-client conference rooms, because that was the old Veterans Assistance Office. We divided it up. That, if we were to do that, that would be kind of a pricey one that might not be worth just a room that's occupied for a fairly short meeting. It's not like it's somebody's office. So anyway, that's something we can talk about, but just that's kind of the one that might be out there. So
all right. Claims, action to approve claims for payment. We have.
claims we have today are the
salary?
salary claims for August. Total salary claims are $517,449.69, and there are nothing out of the ordinary this month, just the stepped increases that you had previously approved.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Waterman. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Personnel changes, we do have a couple of them.
2 of those today. Scott Swanson is lead building maintenance at the Ag Building. He's due his step increase to step 10, $21.03 an hour. Brian Bleeker is building maintenance here at the courthouse. He's due an anniversary step increase to step 10, $18.78 per hour.
Move to approve those
Action,
step increases.
Motion by
Second.
Hammond, second by Gable. Discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Travel requests, I didn't see any today.
I do not have any.
All right, any old business at this time?
So, Mr. Chairman, just a quick update on the JDAI, so the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative. So we had a meeting last week, which was kind of a quick readout on the initial part of the assessment. So we have the state JDAI coordinator doing an assessment. So that was mostly talking to those that are involved. So they spoke to Commissioner Van Duzen and myself, but also the law enforcement folks involved, HSA, the school, folks that are involved with that might be involved with alternatives to juvenile detention. And so we got a very preliminary readout that that we kind of basically the next steps are probably likely to be that we need to basically map out all the things that are available as juvenile detention alternatives. There's probably some good things happening in the community that we need to make sure we document well, because despite our jail numbers overall, our juvenile numbers have been low, which is good. So, but that's ongoing. That process is ongoing, and the facility part of that assessment will take place in September. So that means the jail itself. So just for everybody's information.
All right, thank you. Any new business? Any new business? How about the open? Anything for the open?
Well, the only
I see Chip
thing,
is meandering around. You have nothing for us, okay? All right.
the only thing I was thinking was possibly there could be a quorum of commissioners out at the state fair in these days to come. I don't really have anything else, I
Our
guess.
first budget hearing is next Tuesday, and if you have an intent to add or take away to that provisional budget, I would ask you to have those numbers, hard numbers in hand when you come, so we can make an informed decision or at least get some discussion going on what your plans are.
All right.
Before we do our final adoption, which is the last Tuesday in September.
And 2 weeks from
'Cause the
today, we'll be
11th.
out in Pier at the state convention, and so
Yes.
there will not be a meeting. There will be one next week, but not the following week.
The 11th.
9/11 will be out.
Yep, 9/11. We also did receive an invitation from the weed, at the weed board meeting last night, that the state weed board will be meeting out there at that time as well, and we're welcome to go over and attend part of their meeting on the 11th at the Anderson building.
Joe Foss.
Joe Foss?
I had the Foss building at one.
Foss building? If you get to the wrong building, it's my fault.
It's one or the other.
It's,
Go to the other one, maybe.
they're right across the street from each other, so. Anyway, that's all I have. I don't have anything else.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I do have one thing. I would just like to take a moment to congratulate the Boys and Girls Club. They had their ribbon cutting last evening, and it was well attended. Christy Nome was there and gave an excellent speech, as well as community members that have a direct involvement. I know that the County Commission supports the Boys and Girls Club, and as well as the City of Watertown, and that's a vital resource to our community, and I just want to extend a great appreciation to those folks and a big congratulations on behalf of Cottington County for the work that they've done in their capital project and bringing that to life. So job well done, and thank you very much to those folks.
Thank you for
Yes.
reminding us, Commissioner Van Dusen, and again, congratulations to them. It's a
Very nice
facility.
facility.
I would just take a moment, this past week we've lost one of our national leaders that I think has set a tremendous example for all of us that are in public service to adhere to, and to Senator John McCain passed away, and I always admired him in the fact that we always think when you get to the national level, it's Republican and Democrats always against each other, but he always reached out across the aisle to get everybody involved, and I so much appreciated that, and I hope that is the spirit that we can operate our county commission in that same spirit. And so we will miss him. He was a great person and has done great things regardless of, we don't always have to agree with everybody, and that's good if we don't agree, but we always have to walk out of this place and be on the same page. That's the main thing. Any other? I have a request for executive session, so seeing
Make
other
that
business.
motion to
Yeah,
go into
motion by
exec
Ellen.
under, is it 3 or 4? Preparing contract
it's
negotiations.
contracts.
Okay, number 4.
A motion by Hatton, second by Gable. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are in executive session. Thank you.
I'll just say there is a story